Hey Tubies, this is Bob Hickman. It is so good to be back with you. I'm always excited when I get to be here with you guys. Well, before we get into everything, let me just first of all say a big thank you to all of you who came out to my last video, which was on the black cord binding. It was a magical spell video for the members of the Order of the Purple Cord, and you guys seem to really enjoy that. And we're definitely going to be having more magic videos coming here, so definitely keep it here. Now, I know last time I mentioned we would do rune magic today, but Psychic Bob's been very, very busy, and I haven't finished getting all the supplies I needed for that video. So we're going to put that off till next week, but don't worry, it is on the schedule. So next Tuesday, we'll have our rune magic video, okay? So you don't want to miss that. But I thought today I'd come here and talk to you about a subject that I get quite a bit of mail on. It seems over the years people keep writing me, and this subject keeps coming up. And the subject is how to deal with ghosts. And a lot of people are saying, Psychic Bob, I think there's a ghost in my house. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And you know, people say, well, how do I deal with that? Well, you know how you deal with a ghost? Very gently. Yes. What I mean by that is, you see, so many people get so disturbed by the idea of a spirit in their house, and they start screaming and shouting and torturing the poor ghost. Really, what we have to remember is that ghosts are literally people. They're just in a different kind of body, a spirit body. Interestingly, the ghost spirit body many times looks exactly like the human body, and that's how people identify them. But this is a subject that I do seem to be encountering a lot of, especially over the last year. People keep saying, Bob, I'm scared, there's ghosts. Well, first of all, we can let go of the fear. Now, that doesn't mean that some ghosts aren't intimidating, because they can be. But really, we have to understand that ghosts are people. You could think of a ghost as somebody who's kind of in a drunken stupor. In a sense, that's kind of what it's like for the ghosts. Ghosts are what we term as earthbound spirits. And what that means is that is a soul that is separated from a body. Okay, so you have your body and you have your soul, and they're blended together. But at death, the soul separates from the body, and it goes on up to the light, up to God, to heaven, the spirit realm. But for some people, what happens is when that soul separates from the body, it starts to go to the light, and then it gets afraid. Maybe it's afraid to face the light. It's afraid of God. Maybe it's somebody who's had a bad life. So rather than go to the light, they just stay around their body, and they stay on the earth plane. That's what a ghost really is. So ghosts, rather than being hated or feared, really should be pitied, because they really are. They're tortured souls. Not all of them are tortured. I mean, I'll clarify that. There are some ghosts that are happy ghosts, but really there is no such thing as a ghost who is totally a healthy, emotionally healthy ghost. Because whatever reason, whether they're behaving scary or they're behaving funny, because I've had people tell me, say, I have a ghost, they play pranks, they laugh all the time. There are ghosts that are happy, but their happiness is masking a deeper issue, which is their fear of letting go of earth. And so when we encounter a ghost, we have to approach it from the place of, wow, this is a person who, for whatever reason, is struggling. And like any earthly person who is struggling, who is suffering, we treat them with compassion. So if you've got a ghost in your house, talk to it kindly. Ask it what it's afraid of. Maybe it wants somebody just to unburden its soul to. You know, it's very interesting, because a lot of times ghosts, what they'll do is they try to either live out the last few minutes of their life, or they will try to act like they're still alive and continue their daily routine. I went to a haunted house once. I was doing an investigation. Somebody called me. And they said, Bob, every night at 11 o'clock, we see this spirit of a girl literally run down our hallway screaming. And I said, every night she does the same thing, and then she stops. We try to talk to her, and she disappears. See, what this is, this was a scene where there had been a murder. And that spirit who was running down the hallway was in a state of trauma. It's like post-traumatic stress. She was out of her body, but she couldn't let her mind go of that last few minutes of horror. She was killed by, interestingly, a neighbor who was obsessive and stalked her and killed her. Very, very bad scene. So I went in to talk to her. And what's interesting is while I was there, I picked up the presence of another spirit who was actually her great aunt. And she wasn't earthbound. She'd come in. And from what I found is this great aunt had come to help this girl. And every night the great aunt was also there. And I asked the family, I said, do you pick up, have you seen another woman, as kind of a shorter, heavy-set woman with whitish hair? And they said, no, we've never seen that. But we have noticed that the girl always stops and talks to somebody. I said, well, she's talking to her aunt, and she's getting confused because her aunt's asking her to come over, and then she just reverts backwards. So, you see, this was a case where it was a very, very troubled soul. And really, I've never met a ghost or it had a haunting situation where there wasn't a soul who was really deeply disturbed. Even the happy ghosts. Because what I find even among the happy ghosts is when you get down to it, when you say, well, why are you staying here? They'll sometimes say, well, I did a sin a long time ago. Or sometimes they're very religious people who have an idea that somehow God's going to punish them. And really, one of the things you've got to impress upon these ghosts is that the divine God, goddess, however you want to call the Great Spirit, is a spirit of love. You see, these churches have been indoctrinating people for so long with hellfire and brimstone that people get scared. They don't even want to go to heaven because they're scared. I believe in a God of love. I don't believe in that hateful, wrathful being that some people call God. That's not God. And anybody, myself included, who's had a near-death experience, we can all tell you, when you go over into the light, there's nothing but love. And that's what you want to communicate. So, as a psychic, I love to help you. And I'm always available to come to do haunted house investigations. But sometimes maybe you can't get to me or I can't get there. You can still do work yourself. And the secret is you want to interact with that spirit from a place of love. You want to help it let go of its fear and let it know that you send it light and love to go to the other side. Wherever there's a haunting, there's always an open door to the spirit world. No spirit is ever actually left absolutely alone. And so when you see a spirit or sense a spirit, you say, look around, there's a doorway. Go through that door. It's a doorway of light. Now see, interestingly, most ghosts actually know what that doorway is, but they kind of still shy away from it. But in case you have a ghost who's just dead, recently deceased, a newly dead person, they may not quite understand that doorway. So you just want to explain, that's the door that goes to heaven. And help them to let go. Tell them you'll even walk to the door with them. The wonderful thing about spirit doors, you can actually command it to be in a certain place. So the spirit world will help you with that, because they want that soul over there too. So you can choose one wall, like for example in a room where the hauntings occur, and name that wall as where the door is. So you ask the spirit to go to that door, and you walk to that wall, to that doorway with the spirit. Visualize a door. You give energy to the spirit and to that door, and you create a force that will help that spirit want to go over. So that's one of the things I think is so very important, especially when we deal with ghosts. Now, sometimes what appear to be a haunting is actually what we call an imprint. In life, we're all releasing energy. Some days we're happy, some days we're mad, and sometimes that energy gets absorbed in literally the walls of a room or the furniture. And it's like a tape it can play back. That's not actually a haunting. That's just a psychic imprint. And the interesting thing is you'll notice with the psychic imprint that the spirit that you may see manifest or the sound that manifests never changes. It's literally like a film playing over and over and over. And so if you have that, what you can do is a general cleansing where you use like incense and prayer, you purify the space. If it's a piece of furniture, I recommend rubbing it down with like furniture polish, cleaning it. And that will kind of settle things. Sprinkle, if you can, sprinkle salt around the room. That kind of sucks out a lot of that vibration. So yes, but you know, like as I said, at this one house where the girl would run down the hall every night, people said, well, was that an imprint or was that a haunting? That was actually haunted because that spirit was able to interact with the family. Sometimes it would look at them, it would talk, it would change its emotion. So that's how you know the difference. An actual haunting, the spirit will interact with you. And an imprint, the spirit is like not really present. So it's like when you see it, there's no consciousness on this. And as you work with this, you'll get a feel for it, you know. So that's how you want to deal with this. You want to deal with them as compassion, and as human beings who are in a state of crisis, you see. So you should pray for your ghost if you have one in your house. Tell it that you want to be its friend. You know, now if you have a ghost who's being a negative ghost, because see, that's the other side. There are ghosts that are negative and smash up the house. Then you have to forcefully move it to the light. And that's when you want to call in the angels and you tell the spirit, you cannot be here and create disruption. See, in this realm, we have the power over the spirits. And when it's an earthbound, they're now in our realm, they are subject to us. So if you have an earthbound, they have to listen to you. Now, doesn't mean they won't put up a fight, some of them, but ultimately you'll win. And so you want to be very firm, but very loving. Even with the hostile spirits, you say, you know what, you're obviously suffering. How can I help you? One of the things that's really good to do is also get a tape recorder. And when you're in a haunted location, many times the spirit voices will manifest on the tape, and you can have a back and forth conversation. So you'd put on the tape recorder, and then you'd say, all right, who is here? And then you wait, give it about 15 seconds in between questions, and then you ask your next question. And as you play that back, you'll start to get, you'll start to get responses. So that's one way you can use a tape recorder, or a digital recorder, I guess I should say. I'm still back in the 1980s when we had cassette tapes. But anyways, you have digital recorder, or your cell phone. If your cell phone has a voice recorder, that's a digital recorder. You can use that. So, I just want to put this out there. There's something for you to think about. Please, when you have a ghost, don't scream and terrify it. Don't yell at it. Because that's really somebody's family member. That's a member of the human family. There are people in the spirit world who love that soul and are worried about it. So you want to be that intermediary with compassion. Okay. Anyways, guys, I hope this helps you a little bit today. Listen, tell me in the box below, have you ever had a ghost encounter? I'd love to hear about it and what your experience was like. Anyways, listen, keep it here on Thursday. We got messages from the spirit world. I'm so glad you're here. I send you my blessings. Be back here Thursday. Oh, and by the way, go over to join my Instagram. I'll put the link below for that as well. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I love you all. Blessings to you. See you on Thursday.